The Leila Show.
Bienvenue to the Leila Show, a podcast where we connect with fascinating individuals and creators from all over the world to share stories, experiences, perspectives, philosophies, and unravel the fundamentals of existence with your host, me, Leila Ziari. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And on this week of the Leila Show, we have our guest, Dexter Morton, and he is the founder of Chakra Wonders. His organization is dedicated to helping people raise their spiritual vibration and become the best versions of themselves. So welcome, 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 Dexter.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Yes, we love to sit down and really talk to people about their spiritual journeys and life's paths and really help people along that, I think that a lot of times, especially when people are getting started in spirituality and metaphysics, that it can be kind of challenging to really figure out what it all means and how does one get started in this field of study.
Right, I would agree because there's like with anything, there's just so much information and so many different facets of it. Like you look at okay, now I'm looking at chakras, now I'm looking at shadow work, now I'm looking at healing, now I'm looking at manifestation, I'm looking at the law of attraction, and I'm like, what the fuck, right?
Exactly. I know when I was first getting started with everything, I've always been very interested in like science and like quantum physics and things like that,
Oh, cool.
And then when I started really researching those fields, I started noticing that there were a lot of parallels in like spirituality and things. And I didn't really start with quote unquote spirituality. I started with religion, like, started with, well, what is this? What are different religions and what does all that mean? And then I started to notice these similarities with all the religions. So I was like, okay, so there has to be something, overlapping all of these aspects. And then that's what brought me into spirituality.
Right, which is so true because it is. It's like religion really does incorporate like the same fundamental principles throughout everyone, and it is spirituality, bing, 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 which is. But yeah, I'm interested in the whole like more because I know like with the law of energy and law of attraction, that's a lot about like physics and stuff. So I'm interested for you to tell us a little bit more about how you relate like science to spirituality.
Oh, yes, for sure. So my focus is on the chakras, and the chakras, what the word chakra means is will, is referencing a will of energy inside of your body. So when we look at energy, we start talking about energy. What does that mean? What we really mean is like electromagnetic resonance and the field that's coming off of all things in existence. Everything in existence vibrates. They talk about that in the laws of, not laws of attraction, but in the laws of the universe.
Right.
Everything has a vibration, everything has rhythm. And that's true on a very, when you break things down, like if you could take any piece of matter and then zoom in, you'll see that it's composed of molecules and atoms and things like that. And those atoms are actually fluctuating. They're vibrating. Each one of those atoms is composed of so much energy that it's kind of challenging to fathom. Keep in mind, like when we discover nuclear weapons and nuclear power, there's more to it than that, but it's ultimately splitting of atoms and things like that. And we're releasing the potential energy that's stored up inside of the molecules. So if you imagine that your body is made of trillions of cells, and each individual cell has inside of it, well, then that's billions of volts inside of you as a person. So that's the energy that we're talking about when we're saying, hey, we're all energy beings. Now, bringing that back to the chakras, if we look at the whole person as an energy being and each individual chakra as an energy wheel, where those wheels are the parts of the energy being, of the energy battery that helps to move the energy. So for me personally, I do it by being a light and being a beacon, right? So all of us, when we have this energy and we are aware of it, you actually do become a light unto the world. So personally, I like to get out and I talk to people and always meet people where they are and use your knowledge or just use your intuition to help guide that person. And that doesn't necessarily mean to interject your personal opinions upon what's going on in another person's life. Because a lot of times people just want somebody to listen to. So,
right. That is so true, and something I think we all struggle with a bit. Not putting that personal telling
right.
what to do. Yeah.
Exactly. I think we get so excited and trying to help somebody that we can be a little overbearing sometimes. When a lot of times it's like, I don't need you to, psychoanalyze me. I need you to be a friend. So,
right. Which is like so how I feel like, like people in my life are like, well, you have something, you want a solution. I'm like, no, I don't want a fucking solution. I just want to talk about it. But I do the same thing with other people. I'm like, but if you get to the core of the problem, here's why this is happening. They look at me like, literally go fuck yourself. Like, this is not what I need right now. So I'm personally really working on that as like a light being, because like, I don't know, for years maybe I took on too much energy, and then I was like, I'm not taking it on anymore, but I still want to connect with people and meet them where they're at. And then that made me become like some annoying therapist, psychoanalyst, like being.
I think that's what happens a lot of times with people like us when we want to get out there and really start helping connecting with people. We tend to, first we go through our own dark night of the soul, right? And then we have to make our way out of that trauma. But once we make our way out of that trauma, we're so happy. We're going to spread that happiness and that joy. Right. And it's just like, well, I went through it, and this is what I did. I think it can help you. I also read about this. Maybe this can help you.
Right, so, exactly.
For a lot of people. But where I really start people at, outside of the being the friend part, is sitting down and slowly quieting the mind. And then I try to explain what that means. Like, what does it mean to quiet the mind? Because I feel like when you go talk to people and say, go meditate, that in itself can be a little...
Yeah, there's like an instant panic moment of like, I can't ever possibly shut my brain off. And then like you lose people with that. So yeah, I would love, keep going with your technique, because we all...
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
So it is. It's really challenging. And when I explain it to people, I'm just like, well, yes, shutting your brain off, quote unquote, is what we want to do. But let's talk about how we get there, right?
Right.
Because nobody just into a room the first time and sits down for 3 hours. And, it's like,
no way.
That's just not how it works. It's not realistic. But what you have to remind people is that are on your mind, that 90% of your thoughts are occurring all day. What we do to start quieting our mind is that you pick one of those thoughts, just pick it out of the sky, just grab it, and focus on that one thought. And continue asking yourself why you're having this thought. Like, for instance, say if you're worried about your relationship, ask yourself why you're worried about your relationship. And then keep asking yourself why. The same way that a child will ask questions, why? Well, why? Then why? Keep asking yourself why, and you're going to keep getting answers. And you'll get answers from yourself or from whomsoever, whatsoever, and keep utilizing that until you exhaust yourself of questions. Oftentimes, you'll find that the thing that you're worrying about really isn't a big deal.
That is very
and
accurate.
There often is a really
right.
a very simple solution. The other problem to that, or the other side of that, I should say, is that we tend to give really great advice to other people, but oftentimes don't give advice to ourselves.
Take it ourselves.
Exactly. So what would be more beneficial is talk to yourself after you exhaust the whys and you get to the point where you need a solution. Then talk to yourself as if we're talking.
Right. It's almost like you have to detach yourself.
Give to your friend about exactly.
Because if you detach yourself from the personal news, then you can look at it like you are the other person, which is because it is. It's so easy to be like, "Hey, you, I see this, that." Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you got to get yourself to the point.
Yeah, but once you start solving the situations and problems that you have in your life, the situation and problem that you perceive as problems, right? Because oftentimes, like I said, it's probably not that big a deal in the first place.
But we create our own problems.
Right. It's a mountain to you, so let's help you get over that mountain. Right. And less mountains that you have to climb, the easier it is to sit on top of one of them and slow your mind down. and say, you know what, I just solved that problem. I'm going to give myself the grace and take a deep breath and be okay in this moment. And then slowly you're able to slow your mind down, quiet it, and then we can start talking about doing some other things as far as deeper breath work and various forms of meditation. And there are other ways to get started and to just pulling those thoughts out of the sky as well. So
I like the pulling the thoughts out of the sky method because it is like so important to like not like shun any thought, like, oh, this is like, and like not disallow a thought in meditation, because it's like you kind of just have to allow thoughts to be, and like you said, sit with them, ask, like, but nothing's wrong. And I feel like that's what people get stuck on. It's like, oh, this is wrong, this is not right, or like we know that logically like this isn't a function, so it's like, okay, but it's like, you do. Like, all thoughts are valid, though, and that's something, like, I think that when you're first, like, coming into spirituality or something is so important to learn, because if you just, like, fling yourself into the abyss of, like, all this higher vibrational stuff, you're gonna, like, just, like, even to convince yourself, like, oh, I just automatically have to be, like, this positive, love, light, cushy being, and it's, like, that's not accurate, and because you know what I mean? Like, even the lightest being has dark days sometimes. Like, we still, like, shadow is light. Like, shadow and light go hand in hand, which is why I'm personally, like, always been, I mean, honestly, not obsessed, but, like, shadow work has been my most comfortable thing in my life up until, like, a few years ago, because finally you just stop doing shadow work and you're like, oh my god, what now? I'm just happy. But I would love to hear your take on, like, the dark night of the soul and, like, shadow work and how you do that, like, and how you help people through that time, because that's like, ooh.
Literally be who I wanted to be. And I saw this whole societal character, and it was still dark, you know,
Right.
and I ended up creating this that I thought I wanted to be that could help me get past some of the trauma that I had in my early childhood. And as I slowly started to go on that life in the military, I was just like, you know, I don't like this person. And I don't like who I've become. And I thought that I had gotten rid of some of the darker traumatic aspects of myself, which in some ways that I did, but I destroyed myself in other ways trying to get there, you know, and I had already gotten into meditation and researching spirituality, but I had never really put a lot of it into practice. And this is well before I even knew what the Dark Night of the Soul was. You know, I just knew that I was going through my own version of hell. And that I need to pull myself out of that. And along the way, I was helping other people with their versions of hell. It's basically the blind leading the blind.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's what it is when you're doing that, right?
Yeah, great. I mean, we all help each other. We're all pretty good friends still to this day. Actually, it got to a point where I had this mental breakdown, and I decided I can't do this anymore. I have to make a change. And I, at that moment, decided that I wasn't going to stay in the military and that I was going to leave, get my degree, and figure something else out in my life. And I got my life in order, at least to the best that I could at the time, you know, and started acting for it, because a lot of times we'll research all day and not really sit down and start practicing meditation. So I started listening to binaural beats, listening to positive talks, and one big change that I would say I made at the time was I kind of gave a different thought to you are what you eat. You know, we're always told that, but I switched it around a little bit and said you are what you consume. And it's not just your physical food, it's the energies of the people around you. So I changed my entire friend group. I decided that the things that I'm watching on YouTube or Insta or whatever, I still watch quote unquote funny things, you know, things that I find funny.
Oh, yeah.
But I watch a lot of men, I watch a lot of people who did better with their lives. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, I read a lot of books, and that was the conscious decision that I made in my life, that if I am what I consume, I'm going to consume positivity, because I don't want to be this negative person anymore.
Right.
And I slowly started asking people, one of the big things I started asking people at the time was, what's the meaning of life? Because I was trying to find the meaning of life. And I asked pretty much everyone that I ran into. And it got to the point where I decided to go back to my family members, the people I grew up with, my parents, grandparents, but also I started asking them, then what I found that was what I thought that they thought about me was drastically different than the truth. my perception of how I thought they felt was that I was this, you know, whiny know-it-all. But that's not how I was perceived by them. And it
Right.
ended up being a lot more uplifting. And I started to realize that a lot of the programming that I had as a child was just simply a child's point of view of looking at something.
Right.
And me at it as an adult was drastically different. So then we fast forward a few years, and I was able to achieve my degree, and I graduated with a bachelor's in biochem. And I decided that I could either go to graduate school or I could help people along the same journey and path that I did to help them get there a little bit faster. And for me, actually, this whole process took maybe, I would say, 10 or 15 years from me realizing that I had a problem to getting to the other side of that problem. And I want to say something on that as well, because a lot of people, when we talk about spiritualism and happy-go-lucky being positive, once you come out the other side and you're happy and you're positive, that doesn't mean you're happy and positive all the time, because we still have problems.
Absolutely not. Right.
And the way I like to describe it is the difference between someone who's consistently happy versus someone who's consistently negative and sad and depressed is that us happy people, we live in the peaks and not in the valleys. So we spend more time on top of the hill versus at the bottom of the valley looking up at the hill, where you have people constantly depressed and they get down to the valley and they're always looking. But that doesn't mean they never reach the top, because a depressed person is also happy. So.
Oh yeah, I feel like everyone has ups and downs. But yeah, you're right. We just have more.
Yeah, we spend more time in the ups because we know that that's where we want to be at. And when something does happen that quote unquote brings us down, we're not down there very long. We bounce.
No, it's like such a quick turnaround nowadays. I realize. I mean, like I wake up and life exists.
I wake up day, and when I'm grateful, I do my gratitude every morning, and it's not one of those things that I have to consciously do. I just wake up like, oh, I'm so happy to be alive. Oh, it's so great to be a beautiful day. I was happy to have this conversation today.
Me too. I was excited.
It doesn't mean that there are other things in my life that's outside. Again, people might be like, oh my God, but to me, it's just a part of life, and I'm okay with that. So the way that I help people now when they're going through the dark night of the soul is I actually did create a shadow work journal. And
yes, let's talk about that.
Yes, I'm all about it. And I feel like the questions that are in there are kind of different than your standard shadow work journal. Okay. And I approach them from an inner child perspective. So as a
so important, because most of it is inner child wounding, and 90% of it is just your inner child projecting on modern day situations, and
that's exactly what it is. And I approach it from the perspective of, imagine that you to your child. You're going to be that your childhood self needed. And you're going to answer the questions as an adult. But you have firsthand experience because you're the one that went through it. So don't think about it as a child, because at the time you thought about it as a child. But you can now think about this as an adult. And you'll learn that a lot of your programmings didn't necessarily come from you. They came from your parents. They came from your family. They might come from past generations.
Right. It's so ancestral a lot of the time.
Excuse me. But when we start to look at it from that perspective, it really does start to help people to see that some of their old thoughts and ideologies just don't vibe with them anymore. They don't resonate with who they are as a person. And when you start to look at it like, hey, it's really not that big deal. And also, I don't have to live in that anymore. You might not notice it at the time when it happens, but it will make your life a lot better because it helps you to get past it. The people who I do approach, or who approach me rather, about shadow work.
That's the key. They gotta come to you.
Right, they have to come to you, because you can't just be out here shadow work.
Come on, line up, kiddies. We're gonna do shadow work today. Woohoo! Right. I mean, that's how I feel about it, but.
Right. And I also make sure that when I talk to, because one of my focuses is to talk to people as I would say, aware of spirituality or what that really means, and they think about it as like a new age practice, a new age fad. I'm like, no, this has actually been out for, thousands, tens of thousands of years.
Forever, as long as anything has been, right? I know, it's so, well, because I think it's so common now that it's, like, almost misconstrued, because, like, like, it's so common for people to be like, I work with energy, which, like, maybe, I mean, it always was, but it was more of, like, the mystics. We shove the mystics in the corner. Now it's like, fucking, come on. It's life.
Exactly.
Now I think it's more widely acceptable, which also makes it, like, get more whatever, too. Like, targeting as well.
Exactly. I 100% people are, which I'm grateful for. I'm very happy that the world and society as a whole is a lot more open to
Thank
people
God.
who have.
We would have been burned as fucking witches back in the day, just like for any of
exactly.
this talk, you know what I mean? Like, which is crazy.
For sure. Honestly, that's why a lot of people who do have intuitive gifts tend to be, we'll call, late bloomers. Because a lot of times people have past lives where you've had these gifts. We all have had these gifts in all of our incarnations.
Right, exactly.
But when you have them in past lives and incarnating on Earth, you did have the Inquisition, and you did have different groups of people who go out and execute individuals who had higher intuitive abilities. And some of these people, intuition, telekinesis, it wasn't just the moving of energy. They were moving energy but physical matter at the same time, and that was witchcraft. But then also when we look at witches during that time period, a lot of them were simply just medicine women who were
exactly like herbalists, which is so normalized, thank God, nowadays. Like, yeah, go to my herb shop for my remedies. Like, yeah, burn them at the stake before, right?
Right. There's I don't know if you're familiar with Nostradamus.
Yeah, a little bit. Not, like, completely, but, enough.
So Nostradamus, I forget how you pronounce his whole name. It was in French. But Nostradamus was a very famous psychic. He also used to do surgeries. A lot of people didn't know that. But
I didn't know that.
He used to do surgery, and he would put people under using psychic abilities. And his surgeries were always extremely successful. And he almost never used any type of like drugs or medication to put them under.
That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? But I bring him up because in the book by Mr. Chan, well, she's talking to someone who's honest, and he's how we're in the prime period for the intuitives of the world to really come out and come to light. And he's like, well, I understand that you might be a little scared right now, but he's like, imagine me in my time, that if I am caught talking to you the way that I am, I will be executed, and it doesn't matter how close I am to the king.
Right. Which is fucking crazy. You're still, like, close with the royalty, and they're still like, well, but but it's funny because back in the time, like, you always hear, like, the royalty always kept, like, some mystic on their team, Always. Like, look at Rasputin or whoever. Like, whatever. It doesn't matter what fucking thing, what time or what dictatorship it is. They always had their mystical consorts, and they, like, relied on them wholeheartedly for everything.
For sure. Like the generals, and they're the top advisors, and oftentimes they're like the viziers and things like that. But yeah, so mystics have been around for centuries and generations. It's not this whole woo-woo type of ability that people have. It's
like something we all have, yeah.
Everybody has an intuition. Everybody has psychic abilities. Everybody have what we would call ESP. It's literally just being able to, as I was talking about earlier, that electromagnetic frequency. It's literally using that frequency to get in touch with other frequencies. If you could look at the human body on an electromagnetic spectrum, have what's called a torus field. All things have a torus field around them. Orb on the visual. And that orb, see that person's aura. What you're seeing is the electrical energy coming off of them. And that electrical energy has different properties to it as well, such as like different colors, different shapes, depending on the person's inner self.
Do you see my energy frequency coming off of me? I don't see it. I don't see the colors like that. Like, I feel mighty pink today, but
you feel pink?
I feel pink just in general.
Like, there are ways to train your third eye.
I know. Mine used to be not gonna lie, it used to be way more open than it is now. I don't know what the fuck happened to me in the last few years. That shit's like, meh. I don't know, but I do a lot of, like, I want to bring up dreams because I was, like, scanning your TikTok while I was waiting for the hour that I thought was, like, 11, which is good because I'm glad I did. I should have done this, like, yesterday, but, you know, life. Like, I was really excited that you have a thing about remembering dreams because I've always felt like I've done, like, deliberately do, like, a lot of, because I'm just like a busy Aries energy kind of person who just wants to, like, flutter around and just, like, be very, like, go. I, like, rarely sit still. I'm always doing something, like, great. So I feel like a lot of the things I do, like, spiritually, they're, like, self-work or whatever. A lot of it is my dreams. Like, I literally do, like, energy work state and I remember it and stuff, and I do it on other people too because it's easier for me to just fucking lay there and do it. So, and then, you know, you had the remembering dreams thing, so I'm just, like, curious on how you feel about dreams in general as, like, an entity and the remembering dreams stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So dreams they're a gateway to the soul, for one, and also gateways to other realities and other dimensions. And there's also the difference between when you go into a dream versus a lucid dream and when your consciousness actually astral travels. So a lot of people astral travel and don't realize that's what they're doing.
Right.
You know, so your conscious actually, your astral body actually does go to a different plane of existence. So in your standard dream, you have what's walk around in this reality that you really can't control. And it's ultimately like being in the fifth dimension, where time and place are so fluid that you can look to the left and be looking down the street, but then just turn your head and look right, and you're in the mountains or something like that.
Right, exactly.
And the reason why that happens is because space-time doesn't really exist the way that space-time doesn't really exist in the way that it's taught.
Right, it doesn't exist in general. But space-time is even more fluid.
Right, it's so fluid that you can actually tear it and you can actually move through different pieces of that space-time. So right. When you have your, what I'm going to call like your base level or regular dreams, that's where you can get a lot of messages, and that's your subconscious telling you that, hey, you should be aware of this.
Right.
Or maybe something big in your life. But also, not all dreams are prophetic messages. You know, I've noticed that, especially a lot of times I'm lucid dreaming, but a lot of times your dreams could literally be an opportunity for your subconscious to give you a break from your perceived reality.
That's true.
You know, sometimes you'll go to a beach or something like that, and yes, there are messages at the beach, but also you might just need to go to a beach.
Yeah, maybe you just need to chill. I know, I always take it to like this is prophetic. If I remember it, it is so important. But, you know, they usually feel important, but you're right, sometimes you just need to kick it on a goddamn beach or, like, go on a vacation.
Yeah, I just need to, like, you need to relax. And a lot of times that won't start happening until you get to the lucid dream level. And your basic dreams they usually do have a buttload of messages in them. You know, there are different ways to look up what the different dreams mean and things like that. But I would like to start with the fact that you should try to remember your dreams in the first place before you start trying to interpret them.
Which is really important, and that's what you had a whole video on that on TikTok.
Yeah. So in remembering your dreams, the best way that I found to do this is very straightforward. Just tell yourself that you're going to remember your dream before you go to sleep. You will be surprised how well.
You know, it's like, how simple is some of this shit? I'm going to remember my dreams. Like,
yeah, you're literally telling yourself. Now, I can explain why this works. Like, the reason why it works is that as you're falling to sleep, your brain enters a different wavelength. And when you enter that different wavelength of brain patterns, you're more subjective to what your subconscious is going to show you as you're sleeping. This is why if you watch something on TV and you fall asleep watching that, you'll oftentimes dream of it. It's because it's in the background and because your brain is super susceptible during that time period of you falling asleep. It just gets played in the brain.
Which again is why consumption is so important.
Right.
So God, I've fallen asleep like in the middle of some weird ass shit, and I'm like, I don't want to be in this dream. Like, can we not do this right now?
too, and I will say that I'm so grateful that I'm able to lucid dream, because if there's something happening in my dream at this point in my life that I don't like, I can either just take control, or I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I'll just wake up. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever, like, what's that weird? I can do that. I could do, but like, it usually comes like, okay, I want to wake up from this, and then I wake up from the dream in the dream, and then I wake up in real life. It's like the levels of it. It's like, okay.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like, you can go from that unconscious state to what's called like sub-emelistic state, and then like consciousness. But it's all just different ways. Like, and it's crazy because sometimes, like you said, wake up in the dream and then think that I'm awake, and I'm just like, no, I don't think I'm fully awake yet, and I have to bring myself back.
Yeah, I'm dreaming within the dream still. All right.
That happens all the time. But when you're trying to like really remember what's going on, it's helpful to just write it down in the morning.
Right.
And you're writing it down in the morning. That doesn't mean you have to write down like full stories. You
like
know,
little notes, little dots.
No. Yeah,
right.
I saw it. You know?
Right.
So your brain is starting to feel in later. So, but that's how you do it, you know. And I had written a journal. I think it's on Amazon actually, and it's called, I don't remember. It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, you've been busy.
It's called my dream journal.
Right, I'm gonna order your dream journal.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I don't promote it very often because it's like, I want to make a new one.
Well, okay, you do that. I'll buy your old one for now because I need to start a new one. I used to write them down all the fucking time, and now, like, I don't write them down as much as I should. And when they're really intense, like, I'll make a Google note in the morning, but I'm like, like, I need my dream journal back because I'm missing some interesting. Because I write poetry and stuff, and I used to write poems, actually, about my dreams, because I was like, these things are just so interesting. Like, let's turn them all into poetry, but now they're all gone, so R.I.P. dreams. I'm going to get your dream journal.
So, for me, when I first started, I've always been able to remember my dreams, so that's not, like, a new phenomenon for me. And my dreams I have full sensory detail in my dreams. Okay. So, I can taste food, I can, like, read, I can feel the wind on me. But on the flip side of that, I can also feel whenever I'm like shot, stabbed, run over, drowned, you know?
Yeah, so, which really sucks, because I've definitely been in some massacres in my dreams, like in my younger years, and I don't want to feel that.
Right, you know, it's so crazy. I didn't know for a long time that most people didn't do that, you know? And
yeah, neither did I. It's very normal.
Yeah, because like most people have like, I guess, normal dreams. I don't know.
Most people don't even remember them, which is, like, fascinating to me, because I still remember dreams from when I was, like, 4 years old. Like, yep, that one, still feel that. Cool.
Yep, exactly. Like, I was in the barracks one day with my roommate, and I, like, wake up screaming. He's like, oh, my God, what happened? So he comes over to my side of the room, and he's like, are you okay? So I just told him what my dream was.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, interesting. Does that happen a lot? It's like, okay, cool. You should tell me your next dream. So straight. We tell him all my dreams. So one day, I was just like, so what did you dream about? He's like, oh, I didn't. What do you mean you didn't dream? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, and he's like, I don't dream. I'm like, yeah, everybody dreams.
Yeah, you just don't remember. So he's like living vicariously through your dream life. That's adorable.
Exactly. But yeah, it can be kind of crazy. It can be scary, I think, at first if you don't really understand what's going on.
Right.
But it's perfectly fine. And as you start writing down like the different things in your dream, like start getting the different thematic and you'll start noticing that a lot of things, and then that's when you can really formulate what your message are trying to tell you. And as you get used to it, you'll see different patterns. Oh, there's another thing about that you can do is also before you go to sleep. You can do it throughout the day as well. You can actually create, we'll call it a totem or whatever, and say that when I see this in my dream, I'm going to know that it's a message for me. And
that is so cool. I'm writing that. I'm like, I'm going to make a totem today. Yes.
Yeah, and it can be maybe I don't know, an old toy or something like that you're very familiar with. When I see this toy in my dream, that means there's a message here. It can also just be like, if I see a smiley face, this particular smiley face. It can be that. If I see like a bunch of triangles, so whatever you want to tell your subconscious mind, you're going to use as your message deliverer or identifier rather, then you can do that. You have so much more power, so much more control than mainstream wants you to realize and think about. Like you are
right.
of your life, of your subconscious.
Right. We have all the power, whether or not we've accessed it. I mean, I sure as shit haven't accessed all of it, but we're getting there. We take steps.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
yeah,
if we had all accessed all of it, we'd all be like teleporting and like fucking, like what teleportation when you go, we would be doing teleportation right now if we had all of our power. So like, none of us really are there yet, and the ones who are like locked in some government chamber being tortured or something, I don't know, or experience on. I don't know.
Right, I was talking to someone about like spiritual journeys, and they were just like, "Well, it's so great that you're finished with your journey." And I was like, "Well, nobody's done."
Fucking done. I know.
Yeah, it was like if you're still here as a human, then you still have a lot left on your spiritual journey. Unless you're a bodhisattva or something.
Right, which I feel like also like when you like it's another important thing because when you start, you do think like, oh, I just go through like one night, dark night through the soul, like whatever. It's like no, bitch, like you go through these things all the fucking time. Like even when you like honestly, like even there's like I've gone through so many like just like little mini periods of like things I thought I healed, just like coming back in different ways for like years and years and years. Maybe all of those cycles are finally done now, but it's like, it's like, it's never done. You're always learning. Maybe it gets easier. It gets less, like, ugly and traumatic for sure, but it's like, you're never done. And I remember, like, when I first started watching, like, spiritual reading, they'd be like, and now that I'm finally healed, and it's like, what are you, like, I would just be like, click off, because you don't even know what you're talking about. If that's how you feel, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like people think that though, at first, but not true.
Right. And I won't say that you never get to a point where it's not to a point where you're never, you can be healed aspect trauma and different aspects of your life, but there's always something else for you to learn.
Right, exactly.
So, and then healing looks different. So like you have people who obviously aren't dealing with the same level of trauma that they were before, but it's just a different form.
Because you like close out certain cycles for sure, and then like
For sure. But what was I gonna say? I forgot.
I forgot. I mean, I don't know. I'm not inside your brain. Am I inside your brain? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you are. What is the world? What is reality, right?
Maybe. Yeah, we never know. I can read minds sometimes, but I don't know, not on my
We're all just different aspects of self anyway,
Exactly. We are all the same being in the grander sense of things. So. So in that sense, heal all your fucking trauma, people, because if you don't...
book that I was heal all your trauma. What's one thing that makes it easier for me to, I guess easier, but for me to be so kind, I guess, to other people, which I don't really look at it as being nice, I'm just being myself. But honestly, I truly see myself as everyone else. We are all the same being. We are all just different. Yeah, we're just different aspects of consciousness, So why would I be so mean to myself? I wouldn't want anyone mean to this version of me, so why would I be mean to that version,
Right, exactly.
Talk about do unto others as you would do to yourself. That's purely because you ultimately are everything and everybody. We're just different versions of a massive consciousness split up into a bunch of many little consciousnesses.
Exactly. That's why you can't be mean. Like, it's totally valid. There are definitely people I'm like, your energy, fuck that, won't associate with that, but I would never be mean. But it's like totally like, yeah, that, no fucking way. That, absolutely. But never be mean. Like, never, ever. You can definitely be like, fuck off energetically, like, don't want that though, which is fine, but that doesn't mean you like shit, like, you like abuse that energy. You don't abuse it, you're just like, no, blocking that boundaries, but be nice.
100%. Now, with that being said, it's like, because there are some people that I just don't resonate with, and because I don't resonate with them, then I don't surround my energy with that. I don't want to hang out with
Right,
that person.
and you don't, like, trash it. There's no need to trash something
Yeah.
just you don't understand or if it's not for you, which is, like, something I've never understood
Exactly.
people do. It's like there's no
Yeah.
reason to just be, like, hurtful and hateful.
Exactly. Like, I love everybody, but I don't necessarily like being around everybody.
Exactly. That's what I've been said for years. Like, they're like, Leila, you really love everyone? I'm like, yes, I do, but I don't like them all or their energy. It's like, but it's all love.
Yeah. If we don't vibe, we don't vibe. That's okay.
Right,
I'm
which
okay
is
with
totally
that. I don't
fair.
have to vibe.
Right.
Yeah. I think you wouldn't take someone who's, deep into darkness and then take someone who's deeply into the light and say, hey, you guys have to be best friends. But that doesn't mean that they can never be friends.
Right.
I
mean, opposites do attract, so
right.
the opposition.
Well, everything in life is a spectrum,
Right. Right, exactly.
So light and dark on.
Exactly. We all exist in one energetic bubble. So I was peeking at your website and I saw that you were trying to start like a whole like retreat thing. So let's hear about that.
Yeah. For sure. So our ultimate goal is to create a holistic and naturopathic resort for all people to come through and heal their mind, bodies, and spirits. Now, with the idea and plan is to not have it like any other meditation resort or yoga place or, anything like that. We want to bring Eastern mysticism and ancient knowledge and let it meet Western technologies. So there's a lot that we have technologically that physically help you become a better person. So with lymphatic suits, we can utilize red light therapy, salt therapy, cryotherapy, acupuncture. There's electromagnetic stimulation that we can use to jumpstart, the electrical signals in your body. So there are a lot of things that we can do from a very physical standpoint to help bring about a higher consciousness and a higher level of spirituality, and not just with meditation and yoga. Because one, not everybody's interested in that.
Right.
And there's, like I said before, one of my focuses is to meet people. I always meet people where they are, but also if you're already into spirituality and metaphysics and things like that, you're probably doing those things anyway.
Right,
So
exactly.
how do I reach my friends who are community that they're blinded by anything else? I think that scientists or anything like that, but we have people who claim to do science, but also close their minds to various possibilities. I don't think that you can truly do research or science without looking at all things and all aspects. And with that being said, because the other side of that argument is, well, we've looked at it, we haven't found anything substantial. Just because you haven't found it yet doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. That just simply means our technology isn't advanced enough to pick up subtle energies. But,
right. And like that's the whole job of a scientist in general is literally just to question everything, explore every possibility, and open yourself to discover. That's like literally your job as a fucking scientist.
That's literally what it is. And it's funny because like something like that when I was just like, you're so right. But so that's the goal of the resort. The resort is to take all these different modalities. So you can look them up, and then when you start getting into spirituality and you want to find these different things, you'll find like, oh, there's a center here. There's another one across town. There's another one here. But they all do different things.
Right.
The idea of the resort is to put them all in one place. That way we have one that's extremely high vibrating and also have detailed explanation on what the different paths are, what they mean, and which one's going to work best for you in accordance to your birth/star chart, your human design, and your planetary vibrations. So we're going to look at you as an individual and say, hey, in our opinion, we think that you would best benefit from these type of treatments, whether that be acupuncture, but not everybody needs acupuncture. Whether that be Reiki, but not everybody resonates with Reiki. Maybe you really do need to go sit in a river with some salt water and just close sensory to chill for a second.
Right.
I would also love to have, something like ketamine there. So people who need a little bit of help dissociating, I don't know if you're familiar with ketamine, but like,
Right. Oh, I love that. I love that this is included in the resort.
yeah, I want people to be able to dissociate, and then we have classes on that. But I also would like to have a psychological therapist, on hand to help people
Really
after
important.
their dissociation, because people dissociate and then have trouble coming back to reality.
Right.
So we need to have all those things in place. We need to have nutritionists. The idea is to not just have nutritionists, but have an herbalist as well who can actually run a full apothecary.
Oh,
so
this sounds like literally heaven on earth. Can I come live there?
So, my desire is having things that I was looking for, because if I'm looking for it, somebody else is. And
right.
I would love to have a facility to just go to and I want to have a massive resort that's not surrounded by gambling and alcohol and,
very important
vibrational aspects of reality. There's nothing wrong with those things. That's just not particularly what I'm looking for.
That doesn't need to exist at this resort.
Right, and I was talking to someone else about the resort, and they're like, "So you're not gonna have any drinks there?" And I was like, "Well, water is a drink, first of all." And I was like, also, I don't know if you've ever gone to Kava Bar, but and if you haven't, check it out. Kava is we're gonna call it like a alcohol replacement, and it has similar as alcohol, but without the intoxication. So I was like, well, we don't have to have alcohol at the resort. I understand people go to a resort, and that's how a lot of people relax.
Well, that's the fucking, go to Mexico if you want a resort like that. It's not, necessarily a spiritual there's a difference between, but then there's, spiritual retreats that are, completely, yoga or whatever, which I like that you're not just about one thing, which is, something I've personally been looking for my whole life. But then there's literally, go to fucking Cabo and go get drunk, throw up in a pool with a bunch of degenerates who want to get drunk in a pool in the sunlight all day. So.
For sure. That's Kava Bar, because Kava is non-alcoholic beverages, and they're cocktails or mocktails basically, and they're really good. And I think that's a good alternative that I think a lot of people aren't even aware of.
Right. I only know about Kava because my sister, she was living in Denver for a long time. She stopped drinking and she became obsessed with kava, and I was like, and I've drinking kava tea, and I knew about kava root a little bit, but just in an anti-anxiety property. I had no idea what they're doing with it. So she took me in Key West in May, our family went because it was my grandmother's service, and she took me to my first kava bar, and I was like, because I just thought it was one root being brewed. I was I look at the menu, I'm like, what is all of these options? And there's this strength and the green one, the white one, the red one. I was like, this is fucking fantastic. I love this.
Yeah. So that was exactly my experience. So I went to my first one that had that last year, and I was like, I want to go try this place. So we had gone, and I had no expectations, but the drinks were really good, and I was honestly pleasantly surprised. And same thing, I've drinking kava tea before, but I wasn't aware there were these different type of roots, and they all have these
and that it's this whole antidote to alcohol. I had no idea it was just this whole fucking thing. It's this whole movement that swept up the universe secretly, little sectors that I had no idea about. I was like, wow, where did I miss out on the kava train? But now I'm on it. Now I'm into it.
Yeah, I called my mom right after. I was like, have you heard of this? She was just like, no, not at all. And I've come across a couple of different things like that. So I would love to have those type of things at the resort as well.
Oh, I love that.
So I want to have, with it being a resort, the idea is that people can stay there, right? Because it's a resort. But I want that for two reasons. One, I want you to have a comfortable place to go that's high vibrational and you can stay there. But also, when you're going through a lot of these therapies, I think it can be a drive home right after that.
No, you can't just, and you don't want to just disassociate from the process by driving to a nearby hotel and being and then coming back. It's kind of you kind of have to just be in it. If you're committing to being in it, just fucking be in it. You know what I mean? Make it a whole ass thing. do all the treatments, go walk some steps to your chambers and cry it out or whatever you got to do.
Honestly, because a lot of I mean, I've had people break down just from doing the shadow work, like some of the questions that I ask.
Well, because shadow work is one of the most triggering and disgruntling things of all, so that makes sense. Just the question.
It's very triggering. It's funny because, like, well, not funny, but when people usually break down, they break down it's directly after the realization, you know? And
right.
It's just like, wow, I guess I never thought about it. And you see the wheels turn in their head, and then they just start sobbing. It's just
like almost immediately. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, and it's like, it's okay, you're okay.
I mean, I do the same though. God, if I like hit a nerve, I'm crying. Like the tears are not waiting to be done with whatever. It's like it's coming. It's here. I'm not. When I cry, it's like immediate. If I'm triggered on a cry, it's instantaneous. Although I'm much more like happy and over sensory overload cry now than like actual sad cry, but
I'm the same. Like I don't bawl, but I do get like teary eyed at sentimental things.
I bawl like a little baby child, like on sentimental things. Like just give me something like sweet or sentimental, literally just like completely bawl. Like not little tears, like big tears, big girl tears.
For sure, I definitely feel it though.
But yeah, I'm like, I love this resort. I want to be a part of it. So how can we like make your resort happen as our listeners? Well, obviously, so like, do you like do sessions online? Like, how do we get the masses to book services with you and stuff?
Yes, great. You know, it's funny. I don't have any services right now. But over the past, that's just another confirmation that I need to do it.
You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, all right, you have to do this.
Yeah. The past few months, people have just been like, hey, I want to sit down and like have a one-on-one conversation with you, and we just talk about whatever their spiritual questions are.
Right. And you should be opening that online, though. You need to have online sessions.
Go on your online store, which has various metaphysical, spiritual accessories there, and we sell things that I make things that I would like. That's probably really bad, right? But it's one of those things like when we as spiritualists, there are people who are in the spiritual community, I say go out. Oftentimes what we see are people have like bracelets, charms, and crystals. Those things are cool, but
everybody sells them.
Exactly. I would like to have like a regular accessory, just like if I wanted a Nike backpack, I can get a Nike backpack. So that's why I created the like chakra backpacks and affirmation backpacks.
I love that. Because that's daily use, and you're seeing that everywhere.
Exactly, like things that are functionable. I'm not saying that crystals and the jewelry aren't, but
they make my house look really damn pretty. But you know.
But I want something to accessorize. So I also created, like we have watch bands that are compatible with Apple. We have your standard like t-shirts and stuff like that. But we also have like wireless phone chargers. We have speakers. I think we should have those speakers. I might have had to get rid of them. I don't remember. Because we had two different speakers, but one of my suppliers ended up falling through. And I was like, that's okay. And we just had to part ways. So I do have another one, but that one's more of an outdoor speaker that we use for hiking. So if you're a hiker, you're into spirituality. My favorite one has Metatron's cube on it. Super cool.
Love Metatron. That's my main man, other than Poseidon.
For sure. So, you know, it's like, but yeah, so we just have a couple of things on our website that are spiritually related that aren't your normal things that you would find at any other spiritual store. Like we have our, like bake caps, we have sweatpants and cases all biodegradable. You can get one for your Zodiac, which is one of my favorite ones. And the reason why we use biodegradable phone cases is because most people get a new phone case like every year.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Happening to your old phone case, you know?
Yeah, landfill,
right.
or it's sitting in a fucking drawer for the rest of your life till you organize that drawer, which I just did, and I was like, I have 10 of these things and I just have to throw them away. Like, wow.
Exactly. Our goal is to eventually have everything be very environmentally friendly. And once we get more support, we can transition to doing that. But yeah, that's a lot of what we have. The website.
Yes, I have looked at them. I'm going to put all of the links on here. But I'm still saying you need to be doing sessions online so that like everyone, well, that'll help fund the resort too. You need to be like doing like shadow work, Zoom meets, like what, I should be your business manager. I'm really good at being everyone else's business manager. I can't get my own shit together though.
So it's because the reason why I haven't gotten started yet is mostly because I wasn't really sure what angle I wanted to approach that with, because I don't want it to just be like, maybe I should just like set up so you can do shadow work if that's what you want to do. But I really just want to be able to have a conversation with people. I find that a lot of times when I'm talking to people about spirituality, some of the ways that I present the information is different than how they've come across it before. Because I want to make sure that when we're talking about it, we're not just saying that I'm going to shoot sparklers out of my fingertips, you know?
That sounds real nice, though. I'd sign up for that shit.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, I was talking to a investor buddy about it like a month or two ago. I don't know, probably like May-ish. And he and I talked about it before. And he was like, so where are we with this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm working on it, man. Like, I got to get some more training.
Right.
But he gave me a bunch of advice about how to push it a little bit forward. As soon as we get to the point where we have enough to fund, you know, breaking the ground and have the structure plan built and stuff like that, you know, it'll be, you know, full steam ahead. So that's where we are.
Well, it's like a huge undertaking, of course. I'm like, but obviously I understand this is like a 100 billion step process. Like, get the grounds, put the building, get the things, get the practitioners, get the fucking services, make the menus. But make the menus comes after like 22 billion other things have to happen.
Oh yeah,
and, you know,
like the travel plans on your journey, and you put in like your date of birth and stuff like that, and then we'll shoot out to you. This is your birth chart, your star chart, your human design, all these things. So this is what it is, and based off of this, we think that this package would be best for you. And the package is going to be something that has every part of the element. So we want something with fire, water, air, and wind. So fire, water, air, and I think I'm missing
Earth, yeah.
Earth. There we go. I just couldn't get it. Couldn't get Earth. So the physicality, which is probably more important, right?
We're in the ethers today.
Right. And we want to get all aspects of that. So when you come to our facility, you're able to heal all of those parts of you, because we're all elemental, we're all spiritual beings, and we have to work with the earth. So let's work with earth. And, you know, we want to do those, but also, say if you don't want to do any of those things, we also want the resort to be available to people that want to just come in for a day and maybe do like one service, you know? So you're not. That.
Yeah, you have like you have options. But I also like the idea of like the travel, like, cause it is like, you know, when you see a menu like that, I mean, God, I signed up for a fucking day spa that has like all the EMFs, like the salt rooms, the, you know, like one of those, whatever. I actually really like this day spa because it has like the Cairo freezes and all these things that like not just like the basic ones, but you know, and that's like a limited menu, and I'm like, I don't really know which one I want to do today. And that's not even like incorporating all these other fucking things. So it is good to like throw a package at people, because it gets overwhelming, and then you want to do all the things, and it's like, how do I do all the things? What's good?
Exactly. Because you know, sometimes you want to do everything, but everything might not be best for you. So I mean,
right?
So you're the traveler, so you can do what you want. But we have our recommendations.
Well, that's good, because it sounds like, because you're going to have so many different modules and services. So I feel like the recommendations are going to come in super handy, because if you're like me, you'll be like, how do I do it all? But I don't need to do it all. I don't need everything. Maybe I do.
You don't particularly need it all. And because, I mean, if it were me, I'd do all the things.
I mean, I want to do all of it. Like, you can sign me up as traveler. I'll be like your tester traveler if you want.
Be there for like 3 years. I mean, for like 4 days. maybe you take a long weekend to do the whole thing,
Right. I mean, I would do that.
Well, what's
ready.
Definitely all the people who, and this can go out to like everyone who hears this, but the people who helped me along the journey, we're going to have something special for all those people that like helped me get started, because we definitely still need investors. We still need, the physicians and practitioners, and really just to start pulling this whole thing together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, this is a good channel. We're going to just said, hey, anyone, if you have investors, practitioners, whatever. But you should, we need to make I'm like Captain Go Team. Like, where's the to-do list? What do we need? Where do we post this? Let's post it on your website. Everything you need. Where's the GoFundMe at? Like, you should have a GoFundMe because I'll donate right now.
We do have a GoFundMe, but we'll change that, and we're also going to be putting GoFundMe and put a donation section on the website itself.
Okay, yeah, definitely a donation section. But then, like, the GoFundMe and just be like, oh, when it happens, like, here's a discount on your package or whatever. You get this,
Sure. We're actually in the process of, we're changing, we have, like, a page for our blog and the different.
Okay, yeah.
I've done, like, several shows this year, definitely more than that, but I've done quite a few shows this year.
Okay.
So a lot of my followers were just like, hey, where do I find all of your posts that you've done? And they're like, scattered around.
Right.
But, create a centralized location for all of
Right, that's super important for sure.
Yeah, trying to do all the things. And, as a businesswoman, like, trying to, like, do all the things is just, like...
It makes my head explode. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and tell you what to do, but, like, again, give advice, shut up, Leila, take advice. But I don't have any partners, so it's like me and me against the world, and maybe it's like that. You at least have some investors, but it's like I have to do everything, so, like, God damn it, nothing gets done. It's like...
I do have a few people with, like, my primary would be my partner. He helps me out a lot. And then I have my marketer. She does a lot of things, and those would be my two big...
you have one of those at least.
Yeah, she helps me out a lot. And we're actually have to call her eventually today. Just
next on the list. Call the marketing. I'm all on board. I'm like all team. Let's get this going today.
I appreciate that, man. I need that fiery energy, So sometimes
I'm a literal walking fireball. So there you go.
I'm a Taurus, so a lot of times I get very like.
Oh, you are.
Back, I'm just like, yeah, okay.
See, I'm a Taurus sun, but you wouldn't fucking know it because I'm on the cusp of Aries and Taurus, and my moon, my Mercury, my Venus, and my Mars are all in Aries. So, like, yeah. No. I'm literally explosive.
Lots of energy.
It's like so much Aries. It's so explosive.
Yeah, so my goal is to do all the things, and we really are trying to get a lot more traction and we want to add more and more and more and more things to the website. And one of the things that we put out to people is, as you look at our products on the website and either you don't see something that you're looking for, as far as you're like, hey, this is kind of, shoot us an email, because we have no problem adding some more products and materials and designs. I do the designs, so like we have no problem adding, or to the best of our ability anyway, because we work with a lot of companies to help push these things out.
Right. But, well, that's awesome. So very like, hey, if you want something, say something. He'll get it done.
Yeah, sure. And then you'll add it to the website. And for a while, somebody was asking me, they're like, well, do you do custom jobs? And I was like, well, not really. And I was like, here's my reason, right? Because what I've learned is if one person wants it, there's probably
more people who want it. Yeah.
There's 200 that do is see this, or I was a lady. And she's like, well, you guys don't have like the evil eye up there. And I was like, well, it's called more things than the evil eye. That's not this term for it.
Right. I know. I never understood why we fucking called it that. Like, I mean, because it blocks the negative evil energy, but it's like to call it the evil eye just makes it sound like it's no good.
Right. It makes it sound dark. And I'm like, well, that's not exactly what it is. I was like, but if that's something that you're looking for, then we can put it out there.
Right.
Yeah, so we just, yeah, for sure. If you have any ideas,
I'll be messaging some. If I just gotta put my thinking. I already made a whole business module for you, so I gotta put my thinking cap back on. But yeah, so we've got to about an hour, so we can wrap this up. And what else do you want to leave the people with, like, other than like, hey, check out the website. I'm going to put all his links up. Follow this. When the donation button's up, fucking donate, because I want to get to the resort quick, beat. So let's get this cracking. But any parting messages you want to leave with the crew of the Leila Show?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always here if anybody wants to reach out. Like I said, go ahead and check the website out. And I did provide you the free downloadable version of the shadow workbook. And it's just like a tester. It has the first, I think, 5 or 6 questions of the book in there. And then you can just go and purchase the full downloadable version. You don't even have to get the hard copy, you know? And
But we like hard copies too.
yeah, I do like the hard copy, but it's also available on Amazon, so I have to give you the link to the Amazon one as well, because I think a lot of people are just on Amazon every day.
We are. I mean, all my books are on Amazon too, so yeah, email me that so I can add it to all the stuff I promote you with.
Yeah, you'll be seeing the services thing pop up pretty soon, honestly, because a lot of people have been saying that's what they want, so that's what we're going to give the people.
Gotta give them what they want. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, and I'm so excited to see what happens with all of this. This is like one of the most exciting like business ventures I've like been at the groundwork at that I get to follow on its journey. Like, I'm so fucking excited for this. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this. This is so fucking cool, and thank you for coming. Yeah, let's make sure we don't lose touch and keep progress coming to my way. I'm excited about it.
Oh, for sure. I love to be back on your show.
Anytime, honestly. We touched only some topics. I crumpled up all my notes of things I could have touched on, but I mean, spirituality is so wide, so come back literally anytime. I feel like everybody who I have on this show I end up loving so much. I'm like, can you please just be a regular? So like now everyone's like a regular, so
Right. Just have a rotation of people, you know.
That's what it's gonna be. Like, I honestly, like, I've gotten a couple new ones, but after that, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna cut it for a while, finding new ones, and just bring back the OGs because I need more of these people. So, and then we'll find new ones every once in a while, but I think I need to do more of a rotation. And yes, thank you for coming, and thank you everyone for participating and listening to the Leila Show.